I'm gonna give you 5 tips of 5 things that I do while I travel, so it's not that expensive and I can travel more. The thing is, I travel a lot, so I spend a lot of money traveling, but I also save a lot of money. Tip number 1, travel off season. I always try to travel off season. That means I normally travel in August. No, in August? That means I normally travel in October because it's cheaper. The weather isn't that bad in most of the places, because if you choose like, I don't know, summer, Christmas, Easter, it's super expensive. I'm not saying that I don't travel during those times, because I do travel sometimes during those times, but mainly I like traveling off season. Tip number 2, look for flights in different times. What do I mean with this? I don't just look for a flight and book it, because I know it could fluctuate. I normally search for them on Google Flights because they tell you like direct flights or some flights with like a little bit of change, but then I try to go to Skyscanner because it gives you more options. So for example, if I'm looking for a flight to Japan, I would look for the flights a lot of months in advance, like 9-10 months, and then I will check every like day or every week at least 2 or 3 times until I see a price that I like. I know you can use notifications, because I'm pretty sure there are pages that you can use to add a notification that tells you if the flight has gone down or up. I like to do it manually. I know it's a lot of work, but you can automate the work in case you want to. And if the price is good for you, just book it. Once I book it, 60% of the trip cost is done. Another thing that I do is that I try to look for flights that are under 700 euros. That means I put up a date on Google Flights and then I look for places around the world which are cheaper than 700. Some flights I've done more than 700, like the Japan one. I paid 900 for the flight, but for example, for Indonesia, I paid 600. For the United States, I paid around 600. So I try not to pay too much on flights because it's stupid. It takes you from point A to point B, and I try to do it the cheapest way, to be honest. The third tip is I always try to look for cheap accommodation. I'm gonna give you 2 examples of things that I've done. The main reason I always try to look for cheap accommodation is because you're gonna stay 2-3 days in the place and you're only gonna go to sleep. So you only need a bed and a toilet and a shower, of course. But I like going to hostels, but I have to say I normally don't travel alone, and that's why it makes me feel more secure. The way I look for accommodation, I try to do it on Booking. I used to like Airbnb, but it's gotten so expensive that it's not worth it anymore. So I always try to look for accommodation on Booking. If you travel to Asia, there are other pages like Agoda. You can look for them there. And once I have the hotel, I try to look for the hotel website, because sometimes they have lower prices. I never book breakfast unless I'm in a hostel, because it's very cheap in the hostel, but on the hotels it's very expensive, so I don't do that. The tip number 4 is connected to tip number 3. If you travel, try not to travel alone. Let me explain why. If you travel with someone, like 2 people, the accommodation is gonna be half price if you book a hotel room. If you go to a hostel and you are 4 people, you can book a whole room of a hostel. If the rooms are for 4, it's gonna be way cheaper. You're gonna be together all the time. Maybe the bathroom is shared. I don't mind about that. Some people mind, but I don't. I've done that in Berlin, for example, when my family went to visit. We went 8 people to Berlin, so we booked a room for 8 people in a hostel, and it was like 30 euros per person. If we had stayed in a hotel, it would have been, I don't know, 60-90 euros. Like I said before, I find it stupid paying a lot of money to stay in a place to sleep if you have like a good place. I mean, you don't have to choose the worst place. I always try to look for places in a range of price that I like and that have good reviews. It's not like I pick the cheapest one, and it's really helped me to save a lot of money, to be honest. So yeah, don't travel alone. It's easier, it's most of the time safer, and you spend less. And the last tip that I'm gonna give you today, I haven't even drunk this yet. It was very hot. Tip number 5, try to look for a budget and try to set a budget to the place you're going. A budget for a day, a budget for a week, in case you go a month, a budget for a month, because it's gonna save you a lot of money. And try to always add a little bit extra just in case you have things happening, like, I don't know, theft, or I don't know, you go to a more expensive restaurant one day. For example, if you go to a very cheap place one day, you can go to a more expensive place the next one. I think I've given you this tip before. It's not a travel trip, but a tip for my life in general. I use a lot Reddit, and you can go there and see how much people spend in places. For example, if you're planning a trip to Europe, to France, to Paris exactly, you can look for how much people spend in Paris, and then you try to adjust your budget and then you try to look for the flight, the accommodation, the places you want to visit to it. And then on Google Map, you can even make a map of places you want to visit. This tip has helped me a lot during my trips. I know for sure how much money I'm going to spend. For example, when I went to Japan, I knew I was going to spend around 2,000 euros for 2 weeks. When I went to Japan, before going to Japan, when I already had accommodation and the flights, I made a table of prices to see how much I would spend. And then I added all the accommodation, the flights. Always bear in mind that you have extra costs like life insurance, visa in case you need a visa, and many other things, but you can research that before doing the planning. So that's all, folks. I hope you like these tips. I think I was very concise. I didn't beat around the bushes. If you have another tip that you think is very good, please say it down below, because it's gonna help me a lot on my travel journey and on my saving journey. So that's all for this week. See you on the next one. Bye.